You're listening to Behind the Bulldogs on News Radio WBRN.
Off the left side to the end zone. Touchdown Bulldogs.
If I'm even having like a bad day on the course or something, I just look down at it and just feel like thankful that I'm able to be out there.
Making sure that we're like where our feet are and we're not thinking about outside distractions.
Welcome into Behind the Bulldogs, another great summer series episode. Today is a big one. Brandon Worth, joined by my co-host Brody Kaiser. What's going on, Brody?
Hey, happy to be back, and it's officially summertime now based on the weather outside. We've had some up and down, but it is hot right now, so hopefully everyone's staying cool.
It is good to be in air conditioning right now.
It feels great.
Not going to lie. It is absolutely scorcher outside. And speaking of a heat of an episode, we've got a great guest for you today. Obviously, Brody and I are going to talk, but we're going to let this guy talk. With us today is El Presidente, the big hoss himself, as my partner Joe Nagy would call him, Dr. Bill Pink. What's going on, Dr. Pink? Thanks for joining us.
Guys, anytime you ask, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I'm glad to be on here with you.
I do want to just hop in. The support that we feel just from that statement. Thank you for that. Thank you for what you do for this university, for athletics, and the brand of Ferris State. Just really appreciate it.
Well, you know, the thing about it, Brody, when you talk about Ferris State and you talk about athletics, so there's a lot to be said for our university in terms of what we do and have been doing for, 140 years. But when you talk about what that looks like in comparison and in collaboration with our academic programs, our RSOs, our athletic programs, it makes up such a great ecosystem on this campus that has something on it for everyone. And there's no reason, I don't want to hear any excuse from any of our students that, well, I'm not connected. We've got those connection points. We've got those things that students engage with from a standpoint if they want to engage in a student organization and be a president, vice president, or if they want to attend and come to and see the amazing student athletes that we have on this campus and be a part of that. We have students here who have never hit a volleyball in their life, but yet still feel a part of Bulldog volleyball. And so that's just the opportunity this university gives so many of our students.
Yeah, love it.
Absolutely. And the ecosystem is something we're going to touch on a lot today. And a lot of people are asking some questions, and I know you're ready to give some answers, so we're excited. But first, before we do that, let's pay the bills. Big thanks to Johnson's Automotive. If you need foreign or domestic auto repair, johnsonsautobr.com. Let Lee Johnson and his team, whether you're in Mount Pleasant or Big Rapids, take care of you. johnsonsautobr.com. All right, let's get to it here. And President Pink, the number one thing people have been really asking us, getting in touch with us, they want to know, when is the dorm going to be done? When are these new buildings going to be done? So first and foremost, if you have those deadlines, I know people are waiting for them, share what's going on in that department, a lot of the capital campaign projects and updates there.
Very good stuff. So I'll start out with the new dorm, the residence hall. We call it Stadium Hall. And that is the result of, I would say, a couple of years of not only conversations, but preparation, where just right after I made it to Ferris State, one thing that I recognized very early is that we are an institution that we have really most of our learning spaces are very state of the art. I put them up against anyone. It's our living spaces that concerned me. So the deeper we looked into that, the more we saw that we have living spaces on this campus, many of them built in the 1960s. And that's just not good. That's not good enough for our students. They're great for what they have done for decades, but we are an institution, the last one, North Hall, built 2017, 18, around that time. Before North Hall, you start struggling and finding when was the last. So what we realize is that we have the need to do, not to put new beds on campus, we need to replace beds on campus.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in building more dorms that build more and more and more. No, I want to put living structures on this campus that will eventually replace those that are outdated. Now, I know I have some alum who get a little put out about that because they say, well, Dr. Pink, I lived here and my dad lived here and his dad lived here. I'm going, that's part of the problem, right? Because it's been around just that long. And so what the focus there is that we've got to replace beds. And so Stadium Hall is on schedule to be opened here in another month and a half. Woo. We're looking at really soon for the furniture to start going into that hall. If you see the outside of it, when you look at it from the stadium side of things, it looks so cool right now because the murals are up, the Ferris State is up. It gives you a taste of what football is going to feel like come fall. And that hall is right. I just toured it about 2 weeks ago. It is one of those spaces that students are going to be so happy to live in.
Yes.
In terms of what it to be fresh, new car smell, new dorm smell on that structure. The other thing about that dorm is that the lower portion of that dorm, down in the corner of that dorm, there are about 6 rooms that are pretty much cordoned off from the rest of the dorm. Those 6 rooms are basically hotel style rooms. Those are rooms we'll be able to put up. Let's say when the board comes to town, those are spaces that they can stay in. When you have someone who comes and is here for an interview to look for a job, we don't have to put them down the street at one of our hotels here. We can put them here right on campus. Those are going to be rooms that have, I call them bulldogged out, because they were. Each room will tell something about the history of the institution as you're staying in that room. Again, they will have access to, if you think about the location, and if you have to stay here for a couple of days because you're interviewing, but you've got the fitness center very close to you. You've got 2 eating halls, both the Rock and the Quad Cafe, about the same distance from that space. You got the best football team in the country playing just a few feet away from you. So you've got all those amenities as someone who comes. Are those rooms that we just put out there and have for? No, those are going to be for the university to use when we've got special people on campus that we want to house and show them what a Bulldog experience looks like.
Wow.
Throw them right in there. Give them the full immersion, give them the experience. I love that. And I think the student focus too that you mentioned, getting better and making improvements on campus for the purpose of the student. Yes, it helps the university and it helps attention and all those sort of things, but we want the students to be the primary focus. And I think, as you said, the best football team in the country at any division, right outside will be a huge part of that, and obviously a draw to people interested in athletics. But I think even students that maybe don't have as much interest in athletics will enjoy the experience of feeling that connection right there with the football team.
And Brody, one thing we show that we've been telling students who are interested in living in that space, they have to understand this is no ordinary residence hall.
Sure.
You're going to have a lot of action right outside your window if you're on that stadium side, south side of the building. And so understanding this is what your life is. Have we done some things to try to reinforce that? Of course. But those students get and the other thing I will tell you is when we do the grand opening, we will have a grand opening for that building coming in August where we can celebrate it. People can walk through, see. I encourage you to go and look, because when you look out those windows of that facility, you start to realize that Top Taggart truly is on a fairly high point in our county. And then you look out the window of the 4th floor, whether it be on the stadium side or the other of the north side. It is a beautiful view of Big Rapids and beyond. And so it is going to be a great place for our students who desire. It's going to be a beautiful place for them to live.
Yeah, I mean, even when the building was going up last year, just the guts of it, not even the whole thing being put up, but just the feel of enclosure that it gives the stadium, because it's always been more open. But then last year, the video board went up, a little bit bigger video board. So it felt more closed off on the south side. Then you get the dorm on the north side. And it's really starting to take shape as this big, more of a stadium than just sort of like bleachers on the sides with emptiness at the end.
That is, I will tell you, part of the goal from my standpoint is to try to encompass and bowl Top Taggart as much as possible without having to spend $100 million on it. So when you talk about the indoor activities complex going in on the south end of stadium, our plan is for in the next, I'd say 18 to 24 months to be able to break ground on that. I put it out that far because that's a fundraise project. We're in fundraise mode right now. I want that to be a mass in terms of what pays for it, are dollars that are fundraised from both private and individuals as well as corporate. And so with what we see with that facility, that will be in 2 phases. One phase of that facility is mainly around locker room and learning spaces. The second phase is around the football field and track itself. Because the thing about it is, as nice as that indoor space will be, when you think about football field and track, our student athletes, from what my coaches tell me, especially in talking to Coach Anise and hearing his input, it is vital for us to get those locker rooms in there.
Yeah.
Because it makes very little sense to me that the best football program in the country does not have a dressing room at the stadium, the very stadium that they compete in and practice in. And so that is phase one of what we're looking at with that. And again, if we can get to breaking the ground on that in the next, I say 12 to 24 months, that'll be the target that we're really, really pushing for.
Awesome. And I know really since you took the helm, you met a couple years ago, you've wanted to really kind of change the landscape, change the focal point when people drive in Perry, when they drive in on Northland Drive. They want to see campus and be excited about it. I know that was one big thing when you stepped on. You said, I want to make that impact. Now you have the Virtual Learning Center. You have the Center of Athletic Performance, right? We talked to Colton Haynes just last week, the weight room downstairs, the volleyball arena. And now obviously with the new dorm, you have the Jim Crow Museum is another great example right there on the intersection. And I know the state funding has now been for the Allied Health Building, right?
Yes.
There's been a lot of great things. Now for you, what's been the big drive on going in and seeing those facilities, wanting the upgrade, and not only that, helping the student, not only the student, but also the student athlete, on our show's perspective, the experience with that ecosystem and the importance to you?
Every one of those buildings you mentioned, Brandon, every one of those has something to do with what I would call education or bettering our students, our student athletes, our campus community, our outside community. So we'll start by talking about the Jim Crow Museum. That is set to open. That's on track to open this fall.
Nice.
We'll have a 2-day grand opening for that. We're expecting a national crowd to come in for that for that opening. We've heard folks already telling us that they are planning to be here for that.
Wonderful.
And that opening is the opening of what I call a strong education tool. It should be looked at just as that. It's a museum. It's an education tool. It is a tool that we know folks will be using not only here on campus, from students to faculty and others right here on campus, but we also know that we've already had different organizations and companies reaching out to say, you know what, we've always used the Jim Crow as a tool for working with our employees on what does a space of equity look like? What's history look like? How do we make sure that history does not go back to a place of where this was? We've had those companies already saying we want to continue to do that, and we want to figure out now with the new museum how we're going to continue that. So what we know is that is an education tool that you will only find on this college, on this university's campus. You're not going to go anywhere else to anyone else's campus and find the Jim Crow Museum or anything that is going to be anywhere close to what you will see with that. That's an exciting project. But then when you talk about what it means for that indoor facility, to me, when you see that building, when you drive up on campus, when that one is completed, you will drive up on campus and you will truly feel like you're at a different place.
Yeah.
Because, and not a different place in a negative way. I'm on a university campus because look at the type of facility. And the reason I say that from a holistic standpoint, not just a student athlete, is because that facility, the reason why we started calling it an indoor activities center or complex rather than an indoor athletic, because of all the ways that center is going to support and is going to serve our interior and our exterior community of Big Rapids and of Ferris State. So for students to be able to go in there, walk the track, intramurals go on in there, for leagues to be held in there, not on campus, but also off campus. Youth leagues. We talked to some of our folks here in Big Rapids who are involved in youth sports. They're saying, you mean we could possibly, yeah, that's what it's for. That if it has availability, come and use that space. Come and be a part of that space. And so the idea is that will be an activity center. It will serve the community. For a person who lives in Big Rapids in the middle of February when it's a lot colder than what it is today, for that person to be able to come to campus and walk the track and exercise and feel like that they're out of the house, get rid of those confined four walls and get into a larger space. It has that type of impact. We also are picturing a couple of our academic programs that will be housed in there as well, from exercise science and quite possibly looking very strongly at a partnership that will possibly bring athletic training to campus. And so that's, don't tell anyone I said that, but
oh boy,
that's going to be, it's those opportunities. That facility is more than just drive on campus and it's about football and track. It's about so much more than that.
Yeah, I love it because from that entire conversation so far, it seems like we're giving Ferris State the label premium, right? When we travel across the country with athletics, you can go to, it doesn't matter if it's Mankato, Minnesota or McKinney, Texas, obviously, which is kind of our home away from home at this point. But people know Ferris State, and it's not necessarily just because we have the premium brand on football or Division I hockey. It's because of the amazing academics here on campus and the things that you are doing and the university is doing. And so that premium label, I love it as a Bulldog alum myself, an employee, of course. I just think we're moving in the right direction. All these changes are so good for the university and the community, which is a huge part.
I'll tell you, Brody, it was exciting. It was last week. We've been, my wife and I have been gone for a couple of weeks, actually about a little over a week, seeing grandkids and spending some time away, kind of I call it my calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And upon returning to town this past weekend, last weekend, checking my inbox, there were two separate emails, two totally different organizations, national organizations that are asking, we'd like to come to Big Rapids and we want to do some video and do some shows on what you are doing at Ferris State, what that school is doing. From a perspective of various sports that we have here, but also just in some of the things they've heard about us, they want to feature us. And we're going, yeah, come do it yesterday. It's that big a deal that we have to make sure that folks understand and recognize and appreciate the brand that the Bulldog brings to any conversation. And that's really, I would be totally wrong if I said that's what I've started. I'm just trying to continue and grab that baton and carry it while the time that I'm here, because that has been for a long time of what this university has done. We're just now getting to a place where we realize the importance of yelling and screaming across the country about what this university is doing.
Yeah, love it. A lot of pride with being a Bulldog for sure.
Absolutely. And I know we talked a little bit off the pod before we started here. You do have some free time, believe it or not.
Part of the calm before the storm.
It does exist, yes. And we've heard that you, of course, have been at a great facility that we've had the pleasure of having here at Ferris State University quite a bit of time, Khaki Golf Course. Now, how's the golf game doing this summer?
Let's not talk about the game, but let's talk about Khaki, because the thing about Khaki that I love is the fact, and I talk about this so often when people talk about, well, what's going on? What are we doing with Khaki? I can tell you, if I were a betting man, I'd put money up to say that Khaki is one of, if not the most diversely used facilities for golf in this state.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the fact that Khaki serves two amazing intercollegiate golf programs, it serves the original 50-year-old professional golf management program, has the first in the country 50 years ago. It serves a high school in terms of Big Rapids High School with their teams. It serves for several high school tournaments, college tournaments. It serves as a home course for our cross country team.
Yes.
It also has a membership that depends on it as well. So when you have that facility that is used at that level, and you've got folks like Tony and others who are doing a magnificent job of taking care of the grounds of that facility. When I play Khaki, I think it's really an honor, because that thing is used so much and still is in such good condition that I love playing. Now, you got to be ready, because it's always windy at Khaki. I don't care how still the air is. On a day like today, you can go to Khaki and I guarantee you catch a breeze.
Yeah.
But and now that's an excuse for my golf game. But I love being able to go and to spend time on Khaki, because it's a beautiful place to play golf.
Yeah, and you talk about days that are a little bit cooler than today. You can use the virtual center, which they have amazing facilities there on the simulators, and that goes into what you're talking about training the golfers throughout the entire year, but community elements as well, and just another example of the magnificent facilities we have here at Ferris State.
I was we were out, and Brody and I were talking about this earlier. I was out there on Sunday, and some of the folks that we had invited to campus to play their first time playing khaki and wanted to kind of introduce, hey, by the way, this is what we do on the golf side, and explaining to them all the things about what happens on that course, and to still have that realization of the great condition it's in. And even right now in the heat of the summer, it's still in immaculate condition. To explain to them and to share with them, this is what this university does. This is the kind of stuff we do. It's hard for me to go to any golf course in this country. If I'm wearing the Bulldog, chances are someone at that course, I don't care what state it's in, they'll say Ferris State. And they either have known or they themselves are a graduate of our institution from PGM. And it is the coolest thing because you've got a nationwide, and actually played a course in Toronto, Canada, a PGM alum that was running that course in Toronto, which was a fun course to play, but so cool to talk to him about his days at Ferris State. That's what we have here. That's what we have in golf.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. I know we're running short on time, Dr. Pink. We don't want to hold you too long, but I do just want to say, with volleyball camp going on right now, we've got other sports camps throughout the summer, golf outings. We've had the football outing coming up, men's basketball, hockey. Yeah. That means athletes are close to coming back. And that's part of the storm that you were talking about, students returning to campus. But it's a privilege for us to be part of that storm. And so I'm curious to gauge your excitement level on another year, student athletes coming back, students coming back. We're only about a month out now, which seems crazy to say, but turning the calendar now towards the fall. It's funny you mentioned that, Brody, because on my way in to see you guys, I stopped at volleyball because they're just out, they're playing this afternoon. They're just kind of our team. They're out there just getting a little scrimmaging in. So I was down there for a while, and I thought, looking at my watch, I probably need to get to that interview. These guys are waiting on me. But to me, that's just, I love that. I love when we've got students on campus, period, during the summertime, because it adds life to the campus. But you come over here to Wink, and you see that we have life over here with some of our student athletes, whether they're down in the Sports Performance Center working out, whether they're over in Bulldog Arena or in the gym. It is so cool to see our student athletes here. And what I look forward to the time, came over for camp a couple of weeks ago just to see some of the women's basketball, having some of their camp time and everything before those guys and ladies got on the road to go recruit. And then now with having literally thousands of students in here for volleyball camp, and they get to team camps that are just massive. It is such a good reminder that it's on its way. It's right around the corner. It'll be here before we know it. And then, as I was saying, my goodness, once we get into fall and we get into August and that first football game happens, well, that snowball starts. And by the time you look up, football is, ending and we're into Christmas. And then you still got basketball going. Hockey is still going. Volleyball would have just finished. Then softball is starting to swing bats, and track and field has been running. And it is just that fun of what happens around here, and it can keep you, as you guys know, it can keep you busy the whole beyond the year, right? Oh, yes. Beyond the year. Just ask tennis, ask golf. They will tell you it goes beyond the year. And so, and the thing I say to folks all the time about Ferris, and I have to say this, we are spoiled. And any fans listening to this, you are spoiled. Very spoiled. Because it is not every institution you go to that you have the level of success that you have with this athletic program. And when you talk about an expectation, my goodness, what's going to happen the first football game we lose in 3 or 4 years? Because we're not going to lose for another 3 or 4 years. But what happens when that, and I know from, Tony's standpoint, he'll have, he'll be able to, he's a coach. He dissects and he corrects or whatever. But I'm hoping that fans just don't self-destruct and say, oh, no.
We lost the game.
Yeah, the wheels have come up. No. Why do you feel that? Because you're spoiled. Yeah. Because that's where we all are. Volleyball. Oh, my goodness. There's Coach Tia. There they are last year. They get beat at the Elite Eight. And people are like, oh, what happened? All right. They got beat in the Elite Eight on a year that people said, oh, she's going to be rebuilding. Well, that's a pretty good rebuilding year, right? Great rebuilding year.
I would say so.
And so, not to mention what has happened in men's and women's basketball in the past 3 years. Not to mention these programs that see golf, tennis, that see this level of success. You don't have this everywhere.
No.
And so the importance of this community, inside and outside, I don't care what part of the community you're in, whether you're in Big Rapids, Mecosta County, or outside the state. Whatever part of this community, of this nation you're part of, support these teams, support them from a standpoint of just giving them a lot of kudos and attaboys and attagirls, because we are spoiled in living in this space where we have athletic programs that are hitting this level of success. It won't always be this way, but I am so happy right now that we've got this thing rolling in multiple sports. We've got the best coaches in the country.
Yes.
They are going to keep the thing rolling as long as possible. And if you get a loss or two, it's okay.
Yeah.
We will be back. Probably write the next game with the W. Relax. But we are spoiled. Support this program because of how good they're taking care of us right now.
Absolutely. Dr. Pink, my final question for you here. I know in honor of Independence Day that just passed, the grand finale, if you will, you mentioned the fans, things to look forward to. On your end, I know there's a lot of work being done, obviously getting the residence hall open, the indoor facility. What are some things that you're working on in your office that a lot of fans can look forward to and see the progression in terms of athletics, the athletic experience, student athletes, so on and so forth?
We're excited about some things in terms of how we are supporting athletics. So from a standpoint of just the communities, I say internal to Big Rapids and outside, we've got a number of folks who are really coming and rallying around these programs. And so when you think about that indoor activities center, you think about the number of folks who have already come to the table to get us that first million, get that over the finish line. Now, as we continue, I encourage the Bulldog Nation, that project isn't over. That project is just starting. Figuring out not only how you are a part of that, but who else you bring to that table to be a part of it, because that is an important project that we're Ferris State. I don't have the donor that a Michigan State has that walks in the door and says, here's a couple of $100 million, build a new stadium. We don't have that person.
Right.
If we do, would you please email me or come see me? I would be happy to talk to you. But we just haven't seen that person, right?
Sure.
And so what is important is that Bulldog Nation, we get to that place in numbers, in terms of bodies, not in numbers in terms of just single dollars. So where other institutions that have that kind of capacity may be able to get there within 50 donors, it may take us 500 or so donors, but we still get down that road.
Yeah.
So my encouragement is to be a part of this thing. Be a part. Have those conversations with myself and others to say, how do I do this? How do I play a part? How can I be a part of this? It is a great opportunity right now to chart the future of our athletic programs, of our community. And just because it wasn't this way when you got here, you can do something to help the now and the future students who will be here.
Yeah. Everybody that came before, they laid the foundation.
That's right.
Time to go up.
That's right. We're all in that space of wanting the future to have it better than we did. So be it. Let's do that.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Well, Dr. Pink, it's been an absolute honor to bring you on. It's great to hear from you and all the great things coming. And hopefully you can enjoy the rest of your free time this summer before the storm begins here soon.
Hey, understand that storm that I talked about, that gives me life and energy. That thing called school. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Brody, any last thoughts?
No, just thank you so much for not only your time, but what you do for Ferris State. We are very proud to be Bulldogs, and a lot of that is leadership-wise.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to subscribe. Big thanks to Johnson's Automotive, and we'll see you on this next edition of Behind the Bulldogs. Take care, everybody.